Hello, and welcome back to A Slightly Twisted Female. I'm your host, Brittany Rue. I'm being accosted by my pets right now, my cat and my dog. Got 40 people in here. What's up, guys? This is my dog, Max. He's a Boston Terrier. He is, he's like a little snorkel pig. He's like a micro pig, but in dog form. And he thinks right now, I love you, but you stinky. All right, so there's this whole thing going on. It just seems like every year when Genspect does that. Look at him. This is what I deal with. My life, it's like animals and children all over the place. All right, Maximu, stop clawing at me. So it seems like every year Genspect has their big conference. I don't know if it was the conference last year that created a big, much ado about whatever. But I just remember it was either like last year or a year and a half ago. It was back when everybody was on Getter. So it was back when there was the big Twitter exodus that caused, everybody to get deplatformed on Twitter, and then everybody was doing Getter. And that was like the golden age back when Karen Davis was so funny. And it was Karen, and then Exalantic, and then all of the stuff with the case happened. It's just crazy. Anyway, but I just remember that there was a Genspect picture that was posted, and there was a group of women, and then it was they had some AGPs with them because they platform AGPs and pedophile sympathizers and stuff like that. And then there was another sort of corresponding picture of another group of gender critical women, but it was all women. And it was can you spot the difference? One is all women. And, this has always been the problem with Genspect. I see Genspect very much as ground zero for the next evolution of trans. I think that they were ahead of the curve, recognizing that there was going to be a big pushback. I think they, hopped on early when they realized that there was a lot of medical scandals going on, and that it was the medicalization of children that was beginning to sort of awaken the public to the problems with gender ideology. And, Karen Davis was the first person to bring it to my attention. I'm not saying that she's the first person to, sort of call Genspect out, but I think Karen Davis from Your Kitten Right was some of the most thorough investigation that we have on YouTube, at least, into sort of Genspect and the problems and the sort of, hypocrisies on that end. And, those who don't know, her channel was removed from YouTube. She's back up on YouTube, but all of that earlier content, you can find it now on Odyssey, and I'll post it in the tab. I'll pin it in the comment. And I think that her work has been so important, and everybody sort of dismissed Karen. I mean, a lot of people try to dismiss her as just being hysterical, and everybody's why are you attacking our own side? These people on our side, we should be going after the real problem. It's well, no, because you're really not on our side. If you are going to leave a back door open for this ideology to survive what was sort of almost the inevitable backswing of a gender critical response. There's only so long that you were going to be able to get away with censoring people's legitimate concerns and questions regarding gender ideology. I know that Joe Biden right now is facing a lawsuit from a state. I can't remember which one, but if any of you guys remember, say it in the comments. There's a state who's suing the Biden administration right now for basically having gone around to all these big tech corporations like Twitter, Facebook, Meta, whatever, Instagram, and sort of demanding that they censor American speech. And I know because the sort of precursor, I started off, my sort of political commentary career on Instagram. And I had an Instagram page. So I had an old mommy blog. It was mommy and midwifery blog. And I dealt a lot in the topic of birth and parenting and breastfeeding and labor and things like that, called A Slightly Twisted Fairy Tale. That's where my name comes from. Then I had started an Instagram page where I wanted to just talk about more, politics, and I called that A Slightly Twisted American. And that's how it was Instagram when I tapped into the sort of like rad femme Instagram and Twitter. And I was like, oh, wow. And I remember I shared my very first, I can even pull all this up. My very first, it was, gender critical meme that I made. I was like all proud of it. It was like, I forget what it said, but some of the earliest people that I met on there, or like, met, Rana, like Shinobu, she comments on here a lot. There was, Sasha, which is like, the indie music, I forget what her handle is now, but and then once I was like declared, no, did all of this sort of like while I was fighting cancer. I just needed something to get my mind off of it. And then once I was declared no evidence of disease, I decided to switch over to YouTube and start making videos. And so when I was on Instagram and I had a Slightly Twisted American account, I used to get a lot of engagement. I was like really like steadily building my platform. And I was like, cool. I had, one or two posts go, like not like viral, but like, do really well, like semi-viral maybe on like a smaller scale. And then I remember talking about the Hunter Biden laptop very early on. I had always, so the Bidens, I don't know if you guys ever look up, if you Google the name Caroline Biden, I went to school with her. She was a year ahead of me. We went to a private school in this area. They're all from this area. She was like, so her group of friends in her grade were friends with my group of friends in my grade. We were like, like little like popular girls, whatever. And Caroline Biden, it was crazy because it was like, I didn't even make the connection. I was like, oh, that's Joe Biden's niece. So if you Google her, she shows up in a lot of the leak that was exposed from the Hunter Biden laptop fiasco. And they're real good friends, and they have like a bunch of text conversations. That's somebody that I grew up with. So I had because I have so many friends who still are close to this family, know this family, people had always like sort of talked about stuff that was going on with them. And, I actually knew about Hunter Biden being this like scumbag from before it really broke as an international headline. And I remember when they first, the laptop was first discovered, and this was before it really, really went viral, but it was either I was posting about him, and then it was the laptop that made his issues go viral, right? So once they found the laptop, and I remember posting about it, and I was like, see, I told you, there was the whole collusion, just abusing their sort of, foreign diplomacy status, to kind of give Hunter, opportunities that he didn't deserve to work with foreign companies and whatnot, and sort of install him. And so then when the laptop dropped, I posted about it, and within 12 hours, 6 hours, whatever, my engagement tanked. And I mean, it bottomed out. And then it never rebounded. It was like, I couldn't get anything, and I was like totally shadow banned. I was being threatened on Facebook, and I had to chill on Facebook because like I have a Facebook that I've had since 2010 that just has so many photos of, my family from like phones that I no longer have. So I kind of keep that as an archive. So I was like, okay, so then I decided to go on YouTube. And that's when I was like, what's going on here? What's really going on? There were certain topics that it was like, as soon as I posted about them, almost automatically. And I was like, this is in the algorithm then. Right? There's something really insidious going on. We're not allowed to talk. Certain topics are off limits, but it was like, God forbid, Donald Trump. And again, I was, anti Donald Trump for a long time, but it was like this that made me start to really be like, what am I supporting here? Because it was like Donald Trump could write some kind of tweet and they would make all of these sort of like radical conclusions about him being this like hardcore racist and all stuff. And my dad actually, sort of, because we're, Donald Trump built Atlantic City, and I think my dad had some investments in Atlantic City, and I think he like knew had done some sort of work with Donald Trump from back in the day, because my dad also sort of came up during that same era of like the 80s and sort of stock market boom when like our generation of parents really made their money. Honey, you gotta stop trying to climb up on me. And I was just like, it just didn't seem to match what I knew. And so I started digging more, and that's when I found the radical feminist side of Instagram. Honey, you gotta stop clawing me. I gotta do your nails. Here, you can sit on my lap, but you can't snort. The problem is when I sit him on my lap, he like breathes all hard into the no, and you're gonna eat my food. No, here, hold on. He's gotta go out. You gotta go out. I love you. Sorry. So anyway, like I was totally shadow banned, and then what was I saying? That's when I just realized I was like, there's just something like, so then I found the whole rad fem side of Instagram, and I didn't know what radical feminism was or any of this stuff, prior to 2021. And I found out, and there's this whole group of women, and I realized how heavily we were being like persecuted. I mean, these women were being persecuted for sharing what I felt like were such obvious, and it's like, even if you didn't agree with it, you can't say that any of the stuff that they were talking about was in bad faith, and it was all being labeled as hateful. And I was like, well, what's really going on? And then the Loudoun County thing happened, and the way that the mainstream media tried to hide that and cover that up. And I'm hearing about a school trying to cover up the sodomy, rape of a young girl in school. And then I was like, there's something really sick. So I was like, I need to add my voice to this conversation. I had always planned to start a YouTube channel. But I was like, let me deal with this topic first. And I haven't been able to get off of it since, because it's like, there's just so much work to do. But then, I discovered Exalanzic, Karen Davis, and Karen Davis, back when I was just getting started on YouTube, was really going hard at Genspect. Genspect is an organization. It started by Stella O'Malley. And then I always say her name wrong, and people always like correct me. I always say it's Ayana Assad or Ayala Assad, whatever. It's something. I'm sorry. I don't remember. It's like, I don't really care either, because I don't care for these people. But, they have this organization that's supposed to be available for parents who have a child who is getting sucked into the gender cult, and they're supposed to be, they put themselves out as a resource for parents who need help. And because sort of dealing with their kids, trans identity or whatever. And I just remember Karen really, I mean, it was like video after video going after Genspect, and some people would be like, oh, Karen just needs to get off of it. She's just too obsessed with this. She's attacking the wrong people. These people are on our side. And it was like, because I was like, Karen had such a huge body of work and she was streaming every day. I was like, I don't even know where to start. So I kind of like avoided it for a little bit, because it just seemed like such like this complicated web that was like, I wasn't sure how I was going to like where I should start following. But finally it was during Christmas and I was wrapping presents when I decided to like binge watch Karen Davis. And when I tell you, I was like, oh, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, this is why they want her to shut up. This is why they want her to shut up. Okay, because from my perspective now, I see, Genspect seems to have a very close relationship with the same people who are peddling a lot of this gender ideology. And I think that they just got ahead of the curve, realizing, that for example, Stella O'Malley is Irish, right? So she's not far from the whole TERF movement on TERF Island being headed, by Kelly J. Keene. And it was like, I think that they realized that the tide was going to turn, and it was going to turn in a huge way. And people were going to really start getting sick and tired of this. So they had to sort of reformulate a strategy. And what made mainstream America and the West, and just, across the world, what caused people to finally start tuning in to what was going on with the gender industry was the childhood transition, right? The thing that they told us wasn't happening under no circumstances. We're hysterical. We're fear mongering. They're not transitioning kids. We're just saying anything. And of course, and it's like, but then what was it like? TLC decides to release I Am Jazz, literally chronicling in detail for the entire world to see that yes, we are transitioning children. No, we don't have any sort of blueprint for what we're doing. We're literally making it up as they go along. And it was almost like watching like a snuff video of this child, like a long drawn out snuff video of a little boy and his, histrionic mother with Munchausen by proxy, expressed his transgenderism. And we watched as adults sexually took advantage of this child. We remember Marcy Bowers, who's a doctor, who's a trans-identified male, who was, formerly an OBGYN, and I think now specializes in these transgender surgeries, who was the lead surgeon on Jazz Jennings' case, making comments about having like a porn star vagina, like totally inappropriate comments to this like 16-year-old boy who had been pubertally suppressed since he was a child, all because at 4, he said he wanted to wear pink and wear the dress. And that's something else that we need to talk to and tie into this topic that with Isaac Uncooked and this other guy, Phil. So, again, and so, the whole argument is, of course, so what I'm saying is I feel like Genspect saw the sort of pushback that was starting to brew, and I see it as an evolution. I think that a lot of these, we know that like gender ideology and queer theory was born in academia. Okay, this is very much a product of academia. Like, yeah, we've always had men with fetishes. We've always had, men who sort of acted out their fetishes, or gay men who used, homosexual transsexualism as a dating strategy, a prostitution strategy. But it was like queer theory who latched onto that and built this whole narrative around it. And that's where this came from. It came from the university system. It came from intellectual circles. And they're not dumb. They're so not dumb that they were able to make this theory go worldwide and infiltrate, every major medical organization, infiltrating, science. It's infiltrating the government. Fast forward 2023, we have Dylan Mulvaney doing Days of Girlhood and being invited to speak to Joe Biden at the White House to give advice on trans issues. So that's how successful it was. So if we think that they're just going to sit idly by and allow everything that they've accomplished get wiped off the face of the planet, they tried strong arming the gender critical movement, right? They started with that. So they had Joe Biden's administration go around and basically demand all these big tech corporations that they, impose these very stringent, and I think what might have happened with that, I think that the Biden administration wanted to go around to big tech and impose their own sort of algorithm, right? Their own sort of filtration system. And maybe it was big tech that's like, okay, but we want you to then take on the trans issue, because we know that tech has like a huge, proportion of these autogynephiles, right? These men who spend so much time online. They're these programmers. These are literally the so-called basement dwellers who are literally online so much that they're dissociating from their own body, and they're not associating or interacting or engaging with people in a real context. So they only know how to engage with people, through like online, through fantasy, role play, these role RPG games, these role play games, on playing, video games, and these other, boards where you can kind of really get into these like rabbit holes of groupthink, and these really sort of like fantastic ideas and fantasy. And so I think that there's, and again, I don't know for sure, but it's like, I can only imagine that, the Biden administration is like, okay, we want to, suppress things like, a lot of the corruption that's going on in his relationship with Japan and his sort of foreign dealings that were shady. And they were really trying to basically, who was the one that everybody else liked? The one that basically like was actually a threat to Joe Biden, who was running on like the third party. Oh my God. Who am I talking about, you guys? It's like that old guy who like AOC loves. Who am I talking about? The guy who ran for president. I'm like an idiot. Sorry. I'm like brain. Somebody's fucking what's his name? Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry, Bernie Sanders. So it was like Bernie Sanders was on, Joe Biden's ass, and they had to like quick pull all these moves because the thing is, Trump was coming in very radical, and he was coming in very pro-US. And I don't want to get into politics or whatever, but I just feel like they basically were like, we have to do whatever we can to get back in control. And it's not even, and it's even like, it's not just, the Democrats, but I also think the establishment of the Republicans, the establishment itself was like, we just got to get him out of here. And, Bernie Sanders, was a problem because it was like, he was also sort of anti-establishment in a lot of ways. And he was picking up too much steam. So it was like, I can only imagine big tech was like, okay, we'll do all that for you if you, pick up this whole trans issue. So they tried strong arming it, right? They tried making it so that we all got deplatformed. And what that did when we went through this whole period of, the whole gender critical exodus, the exodus from Reddit, the exodus from Twitter, the exodus from YouTube, all it did was light a fire under people's ass. There's only so long that you can silence a free population, right? A population that knows its rights and that, is theoretically free. So then we had, we had Getter. Then they're like, fuck it. We're not going to keep asking permission. We're going to build our own platform. So then they built Getter, they built Odyssey, they built Rumble, they built, the Daily Wire started this whole, media, a brand, like a new media corporation, right? We have all these like these Republicans. Look at Give, Send, Go. We can no longer crowdsource and crowdfund from GoFundMe because they were shutting down all of the gender critical and the Republican and right wing missions or whatever. So then we had GoFundMe, right? We had Give, Send, Go, which is pro whatever, right-wing Christian, whatever, won't shut you down and is very pro-free speech. And so then I think, the left, which really has such a control on media and all these outlets are like, okay. All right, fine. Okay. They realized that wasn't going to work. Okay. Because people were not, the thing is, this really is the silent majority. The vast majority of people don't co-sign this shit. Okay. It doesn't matter what all these Pew research polls say. People are not with this. Okay. If they say that they are, it's because they don't want to get in trouble, the virtue signaling, or they don't really understand. If it would sat down and explain it to them, like, oh, no, actually, no, fuck that. So then they realized, okay, all right, so we need to reorganize and rethink this. And that's why I think now, and then Elon Musk also changed the game by acquiring Twitter. And I think all of these other corporations is like, ever since that happened, I noticed YouTube is a little more lax on their standards. They don't come from me quite as hard about things that I say. They're allowing more things to pop up in the algorithm that were typically never allowed, right? Same thing with Instagram, other things where before I was constantly, the only thing that hasn't changed is TikTok. Why? Because TikTok is owned by China. And I fully believe that that is a weapon of soft warfare to sort of infiltrate and infect our society with these really like these pollutant ideas, these ideas that are polluting our culture. And I think that that's their intention. It's sort of this, long game strategy to sort of take down Western civilization. And where is my evidence? Because if you look, it's owned by China, and they literally, I've had like 30 different TikTok accounts. I can't keep one to save my life. They're instantly, the algorithm doesn't even wait for anyone to report my videos. It like instantly identifies and shuts down my stuff. Yet all you can see is people who are clearly talking to a young audience, including children, talking about kinks and non-binary and sex and fetishes and I mean all of this sort of degenerate sexual twerking and stuff that in China, the Chinese counterpart of TikTok would never allow. Okay, Chinese app doesn't look like ours. They push different things. They push pro-social things. They push, children who are excelling in science or, architecture or engineering. Okay, that's what they're pushing. That's what their population is seeing. That's what their people are seeing. Our people are seeing, how to deal with your double mastectomy scars at 17 years old. All right. So I don't think it's too far fetched. And so then again, after the Elon Musk acquiring of Twitter, I think that Meta and all these other corporations like, shit, we need to kind of refocus here or orient ourselves, because otherwise, I mean, the pushback is going to be too hard. Then you have these organizations like Genspect, and a Genspect who had, a drop on everything because they have a lot of relationships with these AGPs and whoever, and it just became this like matchup of AGPs who realized that the best way to survive, right, the best way to be able to continue to retain all of the progress that they made with this movement and all of the sort of, legislation and they realized that at one point they had almost full support from the American people, and now they're losing support like crazy, and they realize, well, how do we retain this? They're not stupid. They're not just going to let this stuff all go down the drain. Okay, some of these people, just because they have these weird fetishes, they're also highly educated. Some people have a lot of money. You look at Jennifer Pritzker, who's a billionaire. Again, it's a lot of these, men who are in coding. That's why they're able to infiltrate, like Reddit. All the coders of Reddit. And then we had Over It that, spawned from, the gender critical women subreddit being shut down. So it's an evolution as far as I can see. It's a way to preserve. It's a self-preservation move, things like Genspect. So then it's like, okay, let's come up with some things that we can sort of sacrifice and get on board with. What are some gender critical talking points that we can ourselves adopt so that we can make them think that, we see where they're coming from and we're on their side and we agree. So, that they'll kind of, we can go fly back under the radar again, and we can, they'll get off our tail. And it was, okay, childhood transition. All right. Yeah. Cool. We'll take that off the table. Even though they're still they know that they can still do it for the most part, but they can sit there and pretend like they're anti. No. And these are adults. A lot of these adult men, and these adult men who are pedophiles or whatever, or who, sexualize children or young people, and I think that's why they want to transition, because they're attracted to these types of transition to kids or whatever. But it's like, okay, let's just lay low. You have these organizations like Genspect. You have Caitlyn Jenner, and you have these so quote unquote gender critical trans people. Okay, which it's so, and it's like, that's why, and she was very nice when I had Buck Angel on, very nice. And, again, as a person, she seems nice. I can't, it doesn't matter though. I cannot co-sign anything that she's saying or doing, because this is what they all do. Like Blair White, it was like that whole Jubilee. Anybody who watched the Jubilee debate, we'll all dunk on these like trans identifying people who don't pass, who don't know how to play by the right rules, who are being too radical, and we'll sacrifice them so that we can get you to trust us. Right? We'll get you to trust us, and then we can be the good trans and the pet trans. And Genspect has a whole offering of pet trans people. These, pedophile academics who wants to, create the virtuous pedophile. Okay. And it's the same thing. It's like the virtuous autogynephile, and bring them in. So let's come back now to, again, gender criticals. So we have, so we have this whole hubbub about Genspect, this organization that's supposed to be helping the parents of children who are trans identifying, who platform pedophile academics. I mean, these academics who talk about like, oh, how do we, keep them from offending. It's always under that guise, but it's like, let's study pedophilia, and basically it's really trying to like get social support back for pedophiles, which are basically have become like the lepers of society. They're like the untouchables, right? It's like the one group of people that everybody can agree is so despicable, should have nothing, does not belong anywhere in a civilized society. And it's like, well, how can we kind of reintegrate them and do some damage control for the reputation, and rebrand them as maps and make them seem sympathetic, something that I don't think we need to do. I think it's actually okay to say, no, you have no place in civilized society. Go over there. I mean, across human history and civilization, we've had to excommunicate people who are such a threat to the fabric of our existence. So anyway, so this whole thing about Genspect now, so had their big conference, of course, had some guy who, it's like they hide in plain sight. He's like, oh, if I just admit that I'm an autogynephile, then I can come sit at the gender critical table. I just have to say that I really am an autogynephile and acknowledge that, yes, this is a sexual proclivity, right? So he came to Genspect's, big, whatever the fuck it was, convention. I think it was out west somewhere in California or something like that, or wherever the fuck, Portland, I don't know. Had a big convention, and it's all these detransitioners, and it's gender criticals, and then you have these like so-called like virtuous autogynephiles, and like the good trans, the true trans who are fighting the good fight. It's like, no, they're just willing to sacrifice. They're just the ones who are able to stand up and sacrifice people from their own community so that you'll keep them and let them stay. It's like when a whole crew gets caught committing a crime, it's like, you'll get one or two guys who will jump up and be like, here, I'll give you some names if you just let me off easy. Oh yeah, here, let me tell you about what they were doing wrong, so that, but if you'll cut a deal with me, that's all that it is. Hold on, let me close this. All right. So let's pull it up, even before we get into, because it's all connected, even before we get into Isaac Uncooked thing. Hold on. All right. All right, here we go. Whoops. All right, so I hate that I can't make this bigger. All right. If you're not already following me on Twitter, do so at ASTFXX. Hold on. One thing I don't like about StreamYard is I can't really. Okay, here we go. All right. So StreamYard. Okay. So yeah, ASTFXX. Someone get this clown out of here, Luminosity. Fuck out of here, bro. Like, go jerk off in your mom's basement. Like, don't come and disrespect my stream and disrespect the followers that I have here and the women that are a part of this conversation. Get the fuck off of my live stream. All right, I got him. I got him out of there. Like, just a weirdo. It's such a disgrace. You know what I mean? It's like we've become such a weak and pathetic society where like these are the men in our society. What the hell? Okay. You know, I hope we're not going to World War III because man, we don't have the manpower. All right, so again, yeah, Karen Davis really should be credited for, you know, being the first person, I mean, not the first person, but one of the women who was brave enough to go against what I think would have been, you know, politically advantageous for her. I think that, you know, Karen Davis sort of blackballed herself by going after these organizations, these so-called gender critical organizations that are like, you know, powerful and, you know, have access to a lot of money and people with, you know, influence, and they get the drop on all the real popular, you know, D-trans people who are getting all the, you know, coverage, and they, you know what I mean? And it's like, cause they're, you know, kowtowing to all of this. And, Karen Davis is somebody who refused to do that. And look at her, you know, she's had her, channel destroyed, had to start back from ground zero. You know, if you look at it, you look like, oh, she barely has a following, which is bullshit. She absolutely does. She's suppressed in the algorithm, has her, you know, channel nuked regularly, has her, you know, popular videos nuked regularly, you know, but she won't compromise on her ethics. And I respect that. And I stand for that. And that's who the fuck I want to be associated with. Okay. Because it's like, you know, sometimes I even find myself like, well, do I want to, you know, start fights with people, and will that cause a problem? You know, because it's like I could have given myself a big boost by aligning with Buck Angel. She agreed to come on my channel. I could have just used the he, him pronouns, sit there and agreed with her that she's, oh yeah, you really are one of the good ones. Thanks for all of your work to, you know, expose this. But no, you created so much of this. You continue to profit off of it. You're very much do as I say, not as I do. I don't think, I'm sorry, but you're a hypocrite. I can't co-sign that. Why? Because first and foremost, my allegiance is to my children. Okay. I have two little boys and two little girls. Okay. It's not just about my girls. It's about my boys too. What kind of message are we sending to them about what's acceptable, you know, behavior as a man? And my girls, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, no, mommy was too much of a coward to stand up to people, you know, to stand up to a woman who was partially responsible for destroying the body and life of another little girl somewhere, who gave help a 8-year-old get on puberty blockers. Yeah, you know, mom's over there, you know, high-fiving her and getting photo ops with her. No, I need my children to know, you know what I mean? I want my girls to look up like, hey, well, why, you know, you sit there and you say all of this, but then why are you aligning with these people? No, I'll sacrifice every ounce of popularity I have if it means standing on, you know, keeping my integrity, keeping my ethics, so that my kids know that I'm not like a bitch about this. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to waver, you know, so that they know that when it comes to them and when it comes to, you know, doing what's right, you know, their mom isn't scared. I'm not worried about, you know, it's all good. I have, you know, it's been a very slow burn trying to build my own following, but that's okay. I'll take the stairs. I could have taken the elevator a few times. I'm all good. Okay. I want to stand, shoulder to shoulder with people like Vanessa Vokey and Karen Davis, who absolutely refuse to compromise on their values because it's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. All right. So, all right. So let's get into this. All right, so Genspect goes spot. Again, it's like this, pretending like they're all a bunch of celebrities and stuff. And it's like, ew, just trying. I don't know. I can't get with like all these TERFs and gender criticals who are making these these special events and trying to make celebrities out of each other. And it's like, it's so like cringe because I don't know. Spotted autogynephilic and funk god artist. Checked out autogynephilic's book, Auto Heterosexual Attraction to Being the Other Sex. Genspect Denver. And once again, this is all about like humanizing this paraphilia, this dangerous paraphilia. Yeah, let's give this guy a platform. Yeah, let's make sure that, he's telling the truth, though. He acknowledges that, he objectifies women and sees them as just nothing more than like this, sex pocket fuck object. And he literally wants to skinwalk them. And it's men like him who are currently responsible for the erosion of the rights, dignity, and privacy. It's men like him. And it's sympathy for men like him. It is the reason why there's a little baby right now who is wafting around somewhere in the New Jersey foster care system because she was ripped out of the arms of her mother, who's serving a life sentence in prison, who got pregnant because you guys decided to house males, men like this, autogynephiles, in a female prison because enough people were sympathetic to men like that. Now we have a woman who will never ever get to hold her baby again. And we have a baby who will never get to be in the arms of its mother again. Do you know what a trauma that is? Oh, they don't remember. No. It's that the memory, it's like they say, oh, well, babies don't remember. No. It's so deep in their soul that it's like, it's not even a conscious memory. It becomes like a soul memory, a body memory, something you can't even describe. It becomes so written on your spirit, something trauma that is that deep, ripped out of the arms of the mother who you grew in, whose body you've been in since she was a fetus. Our cellular life as human beings begins in the ovaries of our mothers when they are a fetus in the womb of your grandmother. That's how long that baby's been with its mother. It's grown with its mother since before she was ever born. That's how deep that tie is between mother and child. That's how vicious it is to separate a newborn baby from a mother. That's how vicious it is. Babies are born knowing their mother's voice. They're born knowing their smell. They're born knowing them upon anything. And I've told the story and I'll say it again. Some parents, moms will get, a little bit sad because they're like, oh, my baby's first word were dad, not mama. Yeah, you want to know why? It's because that baby doesn't even realize that it's separate from you. So hence why it doesn't even know that it needs to have a name for you. You're so significant in that baby's world and that baby's existence that it literally believes that you're one and the same. That's why midwives, we have a word. It's called mama toto. It's the mother baby. We call it the mother baby. It's one being. There is the separation is, what happens later. We grow, but the connection is always there. The mother baby is one being. You come from our bodies. You are us. And it's like, all right. The reason why we have a baby in the foster care system in New Jersey corrections is because we had too much sympathy for this. It's this idea that we're not allowed as a society. Oh, it's this anti-discrimination, this anti-bullying, anti-shame. Oh no, you can't make fun of anything. Oh no, everybody, deserves dignity. Yeah, every person deserves dignity, but not every mental illness, not every degenerative personality disorder, not every sexual paraphilia that's reinforced by porn and obsessive compulsive thinking. No, autogynephilia in and of itself does not deserve dignity. It deserves to be starved of attention. It deserves to be suffocated from being able to give an air and platform. The people, fine, but no, sir, we don't want to participate in your fetish. Genspect, how dare you? There are so many women who you're not platforming. There are so many women who are on the ground doing real work, putting our lives in danger. You won't even acknowledge. Oh, but let's make sure that this guy's book gets pushed. That's what's up. That's what's up, Stella. Yeah, that's what's up. I'm sorry. I don't trust these people as far as I could throw them. And apologies in advance to parents of inconvenient truths about trans. There's a group that, there's a group of parents, mothers specifically, who published under Genspect. And I think you're great. That's what's so hard about this, because there are some great people who associate with Genspect. I think you're a great, a group of great women who are doing your best to protect kids and create resources for parents. And you thought, oh, this is a organization who's going to help me do it, and they're using you. Okay. And I respect what you guys are doing, and I hope that you can understand and at least respect, and even if you don't agree with me, where I'm coming from. Because at the end of the day, my children are my responsibility. If this was just about me getting like famous and making money and being, internet famous and getting clout, then I would have gone about this a very different way. And I would be going about this a very different way. Okay. The right move right now would be hop on this true trans thing. We could all dunk on the super mentally unstable ones. But somehow pretend that like Blair White is somehow different and special and he's legit, or Buck Angel is really a man. No, sorry, no. Fucking, what's his name? Bruce Jenner destroyed his family. His poor, Chris, I understand a lot of people don't have a lot of sympathy for Kris Jenner as a person, but my God, she's still a mother. She's still a woman. Having the father of your children sneaking around, dressing up in your lingerie and stuff in your underwear, such a violation. It's heartbreaking. All right. So, and then, this, so look at him. Okay. All right. So what did he say here? Wait, hold on. And then where is it? Okay, so yeah. So everybody is going in on this. And Genspect says everyone is welcome at Genspect's conferences. Attendees' views do not necessarily represent the views of Genspect. We accept that people may or agree or disagree with us on that. And then somebody said, XXS Jenny says, letting him attend is one thing. Posting this pic and pushing his book is another. Take some time to think about the optics. It's really a no-brainer that posting this picture with that caption was a dumb move for your organization. Unfortunately, it's a strategic move though, because we know a lot of money, a lot of very powerful men are into this whole AGP thing, and a lot of powerful organizations want to cash in, and they've already made the investments, and they are not about to let gender critical movement destroy their opportunity to cash in on this cash cow. So they realize, okay, we got to adapt a little bit. We got to take on some gender critical views and adapt them enough so that they always leave a back door open for gender, for this to continue, basically. Michael says, this man is wearing his sexual fetish gear, putting his hands on women while acting out his fetish. It's sexual harassment. IT conferences and those for other male-dominated industries have strict codes of conduct conduct about sexual harassment. You better start having one too. Good for you, Michael. That's what's up. Then June in the Moon says, not everyone. So Genspect is like, everybody's allowed at the conferences. June in the Moon says, no, not everybody, according to your website. I'm curious what Genspect's definition of, quote, transphobic is, as it varies quite widely in society from concern to hatred. And so but this is from Genspect's website. It says, is Genspect welcoming to people who are transphobic? Again, trans isn't real. Transphobia is a misnomer. People can have, people are expressing concerns or upset. But transphobia is not a real thing. No, we treat everyone with respect and dignity, whether or not they are trans. And again, Genspect affirming that some people are trans. Hey, Genspect, if you're listening, nobody is trans. That is the point. You are unfit. Genspect is unfit. Genspect is unworthy of our support. Genspect is unworthy of our trust. Should be looked at with a very critical eye. And anybody who's associating with them, anybody who claims that they're gender critical or who wants to, go after the gender industry and is taking like money or publicity from them, I'm sorry, but I think that you are basically like taking profits from an organization that's trying to keep gender ideology alive. And I think that you are severely compromising your integrity. And I'm going to have to side-eye pretty much anybody who's continuing to work with them. Genspect will not tolerate hateful or dehumanizing rhetoric towards trans people under any circumstances. We believe that members of the trans community deserve the same fundamental rights as all of us. Again, what rights do they not have? What are you talking about? No, you're trying to say that women don't have a right to point out absurd, ridiculous, and dangerous behavior in men. Once again, it's making fun of men is like the ultimate sin that cannot be tolerated. Cannot be tolerated. And that's what's going to segue into the whole Isaac thing. So let's see. Hold on. Where is, hold on. All right. So Posinator says the comments are not about attendance, though. They are about you promoting him and his fetish. Trust in your organization is critical. Do you begin to comprehend how you have trashed the trust so many held in you? Please say something. The fact that anyone had trust in them to begin with, they've been doing this. Damn. Here we go. Okay. So then, of course, the AGP says to the many feminists raging in the comments, and again, once again, here's a man using the word feminist as a slur, basically using feminist as a derogatory, right? To the many feminists raging in the comments, again, diminishing, demeaning language, raging. So women calling you out, expressing concerns about why Genspect, supposedly an organization that's trying to protect and pull children out of a cult that wants to push them towards self-harm and mutilation, is raging now. Sir, how dare you? How dare you? Look how ridiculous you look. Look how ridiculous you look. Anybody would point that out and say, you look absurd. Okay? He said, I'm thereby apologize for the terrible crime of wearing a dress. I'm sorry for the harm I've caused by existing and wearing clothes. Yeah, we just want to pee. We've heard it before, sir. We've heard it every day. We just want to pee. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We just want to be able to peacefully indulge and engage in our fetish out in public and force you to participate without you saying anything. We get off on seeing how uncomfortable you are. And we want to make it so no one's allowed to say anything. Otherwise, you're raging. It's transphobia. It's hatred. No, it's not women responding to their internal gut that's saying something is very wrong here. You got this man who's balding, whose hair, he's got 4 strands of hair. Hold on. My bad. I'm trying to like make this. He's got, sorry. He's got like 4 strands of hair. And you know what I mean? He's wearing some like dress that I can't imagine any woman would be wearing. I mean, look at the actual woman next to him, right? Just wearing, you know, comfortable shoes, pants, and you know, some funky colors and whatever, some earrings and stuff like that. No, you're wearing like a ball gown, a crushed velvet, you know, blue ball gown with what is going on? It's so cringe. And then Rose, in your own fashion, says, keep your fetishes out of the public domain. Jennifer Thomas says, wear all the dresses you want, but don't expect women to support you. And don't be surprised if we talk shit about you. It's why you are wearing the dress in the first place. You want attention. It's part of the kink. Nobody gets to say anything. Go fuck yourself. You're involving other people in your fetish and minimizing others. And he says, no. Mm-mm. That Anna says, you're minimizing women's reasonable reactions to a self-confessed autogynephile enacting his fetish in public. We did not ask to be part of this. Okay. And that's the thing. He acknowledges that this is a fetish. So there was a very similar situation. Let's see if I can find it. There was a very similar situation and I wanted to react to it. And again, you know, I've with Isaac Uncooked. So, you know, Isaac, I some of his work I think has been really good. I think that, you know, stuff that he called out about, you know, Buck Angel, but it just sort of goes back and forth. I mean, I've gone, let's see, like I went at Isaac pretty hard last year for kind of intermittently putting out these videos where he's talking about how he wants to like retransition and, you know, self-delete and all this stuff. And I was like, you got to stop doing that. You know, children have access to this platform. It's inappropriate. You know that you have a lot of young people watching you. You know, I said that to him under his video and we've been fine after that, you know, and it's like, again, it's a thing. It's like we've, you know, I've used his work when I went after the Buck Angel thing. And, you know, in some ways I've been really grateful for him. He stepped up and defended Exelanzic a lot, you know, and just sort of like swings back and forth. I've also, you know, have acknowledged that I think that, like, I don't know, I've never actually heard him say this, but somebody was saying that, you know, that he's like some sort of third type, that he's not like homosexual, transsexual, or autogynephile. And I think that that's incorrect. I think that, you know, it pretty quintessentially has the traits of autogynephilia. And I think a lot of, you know, AGPs have a difficult time acknowledging that. I've talked to a lot of these other true trans people who, you know, true trans who like Holly or that other guy who will say, like, you know, they always say, oh, the AGPs are the problem, but we're not an AGP. And it's like, well, no, some of you are. And it's like, you know, we just have to be realistic about it. Doesn't mean that you're this like totally worthless person and should just be like, you know, hated on and stuff. But if you're going to you know, in like engage in your, indulge in your fetish in front of people, then yeah. Too many women pay attention to Isaac. Yeah. Somebody said that it has something to do with like pretty privilege. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of like women who have developed some sort of like parasocial relationship, kind of like crush on him. And I think he's intelligent. I think that, you know, I think he's beautiful. I think he's intelligent. I think that he has some of these good qualities. And I think that that's what makes it hard, you know, and so you kind of like, you know, get into it. But then I think that some of this other behavior swing back and Isaac knows. And I told Isaac that I was going to be doing this stream, and again, Isaac, I would love to have this conversation with you if you want to afterwards have a conversation and we can talk about it. Hey, Kai Decadence, you're another person I really want to talk to at some point. But like we can discuss this, but I just think that I've had issues. You have a right to get mad and respond to people, with all of like the TERF. I've gotten mad at radical feminists. I have a whole video about me complaining about radical feminists. I've had like 4 or 5 of them. Okay, so I'm that's it's fine, but I disagree. I do think that you have very obvious and straightforward traits of autogynephilia. And I think this whole idea of what's the problem of just wearing the dress. And this is where I'm almost starting to get more conservative about it. And like Kai Decadence is another person I want to like talk. I feel like I need to talk to him and pick his brain about this, because it's like, I don't find him threatening. And it's not just because he's gay. It's like, I think he has enough campiness in what he does that makes it clear that it's like dressing up and it's like more fashion or whatever. But and at the end of the day, and plus I don't know, there's just something, I don't know, and it's like, I know everybody wants these very like clear definitions. And I did a video about, I think, the difference between cross-dressing, fetishistic cross-dressing and transvestism versus like gender nonconformity. And, my conclusion was, generally, I believe that gender nonconformity is wearing things that are sort of arbitrarily assigned as being associated with one sex or the other. So like flowers, the color pink, hair clips, earrings, jewelry. Okay. There's no reason that that's for men or women, and men in other cultures do wear like a lot of ornate jewelry. Whatever. I just think that, when men are wearing clothing that is tailored to the body of a woman. So for example, like a female bathing suit, like, here, let me see if I can get, I'll show you I'll just show you the video that I did. Hold on. All right, here we go. About it. All right. So this is the video that I did. And this,
with the background of,
what's the difference between fetishistic, transvestism, and simple gender nonconformity? I think it's important that we differentiate between the two. Gender nonconformity is being something that should be permissible for children to explore and adults to partake in, not feeling like they need to become the actual sex to do things that are typically associated with the other sex.
With the background.
Sorry.
What's the difference between fetishistic, transvestism, and simple gender nonconformity? I think it's important that we differentiate between the two. Gender nonconformity is being something that should be permissible for children to explore and adults to partake in, not feeling like they need to become the actual sex to do things that are typically associated with the other sex. What is the difference in terms of clothing? I'd say when men want to wear clothing that is actually fitted for a woman's body, for example, a dress that has a bodice and breast cups, that's cross-dressing. But if a man wears a pink shirt, floral shirt, a shirt that's made for a man, but that has ornamentation that is culturally, arbitrarily assigned as being for women, but doesn't have any true reason that it has to be for women, that's gender nonconformity. But when it's a piece of clothing that's literally for the body of women, man is wearing a bathing suit that is made for female anatomy, well, that is fetishistic transvestism or creepy cross-dressing by some perv. What's the difference between fetish?
Okay. So yeah, exactly. It's like when it's like, it's just clearly like sexualizing, and it's like, again, we're in such a stage where we're trying to teach people and tell people that they need to sort of like undo their, relearn your assumptions, and you have to undo your own bigotry. No, there's a reason why we all inherently get this uneasy feeling when we see a man yeah, exactly, like Kai, I've seen you, I know you've worn dresses before, and I know that technically that would fit my like definition of cross-dressing, but like there's just something that's like, I don't know, that's like, I don't know. Yeah, I just, you can feel that the motivation is different. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's something about like the way that you do it. I don't know. Like, yeah, where it's like these other guys, like you can just feel the sort of like weirdness in it. And it's like either way. And I know that, like, you know, even like go against you a little bit, but it's like, and I feel like you respect this. And you know, I feel like, you know, people respect this. It's like, okay, like when we were in Miami, we were going to go to this can I pause this stream? Okay, I got it. Hold on, I have to take this call. Give me 1 second, guys. Uh, sorry. Sorry, I'm back. All right, sorry. I feel like I'm just being like, let me just fucking get to the point. I had to take that phone call. All right, it just like, so yeah. So okay, let's just really quick take a look at some of what I want to respond to some of the things that Isaac said in his thing that I think are important. Okay, so let's just take a look at this really quick. Hold on. All right, here we go.
Modest dress. They're definitely radical. So what are they? I would say basically they're mentally ill women who spend all their time on Twitter and on forums gossiping about men in dresses, it seems. That's what it seems like to me. So I had an idea.
Oh, God fucking damn it. So this video is What is a TERF?
And it's very modern. That's what it seems like to me. So I had an idea. I was like, okay, I just want to see how many women are actually upset if a man dresses femininely. He gets a modest dress and just says, I'm a guy and I'm in a dress. And it's very modest. I had I had a dress jacket on, tights, proper, it's just, very acceptable, I would say. And I got a lot of comments on this. In fact, I haven't not gotten a tweet that's gotten that much attention. One of the people who commented, TERF Jester, who is a very popular TERF account, said, panty sniffing troon coomer degenerates who lick bicycle seats are not women. You are a degenerate man. And then she posted with that a picture, calling me names won't make men women cope. And so I'm not talking about being a woman. And The only person calling anyone names is her. And so, you know, I can't say I didn't expect that. Obviously, I expected that sort of reaction. It's just sad that that's what a guy gets from women, because I mean, obviously they get it from men as well. I got it all throughout my childhood from men. I didn't realize that women also weren't okay with feminine men.
Okay, so two things. So Isaac kind of like routinely refers to himself as a feminine man. I think that's incorrect. I don't think that you're feminine. I think just because you like things that are associated with women, I don't think, and I think that the reasons are very masculine for why you like those things and engage with those things. I think that you have a very like just masculine vibe in general, and I think that's the problem. So assuming it's the same with these trans-identified males who think that, oh, like I'm feminine just because, you know, I'm indulging in these things that I typically see being marketed for women. That doesn't mean that, you know, you're feminine. And then also, like, you know, it's always at like, well, we have to, like, you know, because somebody was maybe like bullied from an early age and all this sort of stuff. And he gets really upset about Rex Landy saying stuff. And I think that Isaac, and I'll talk to you directly, I think that what you need to understand is sort of why early on I was talking about how much we were persecuted, how much we were deplatformed. I was constantly having posts removed. I lost friends. I was attacked for speaking out about the whole trans thing. For a very long time, women were told just to be nice. This is a failure of safeguarding for women and children alike. Shame has a purpose, actually, Isaac, and I'm not sure how much, you know, you've thought about this or have considered this, but there's a reason that we have cultural norms. There's a reason that we have norms in our behavior, in our dress, in the way that we act, and it's so, you know, because we have, we can create this idea that we have values, right? And it's the same reason that, like, language, for example, we make a certain sound to connote a shared a specific idea, right? And we, you know, all agree that sound means that it's technically an arbitrary sound, but we can all, once we all agree that sound connotes, you know, a desk. I say the word desk, I'm talking about this, that my computer is on. And it's important that we all have some sort of group agreement. Otherwise, it's very inefficient, right? And we can't communicate and share ideas and build upon things. And, you know, when you think about the idea of men cross-dressing, that's obviously been present in society for a very long time. And it's been acknowledged even as far back as, like, you know, the Bible and the Quran talks about men should not cross-dress. You know, and before we go and undo things that have been a part of, you know, human civilization for millennia, maybe we need to look at why society evolved to have those boundaries and those standards. Maybe there's a reason before we just throw it out or dismiss it, you know, all in the name of being progressive. Maybe it's not as progressive as you may think. And I think that women, I remember as a kid seeing a man dressed up in like women's clothing and instantly feeling uncomfortable. It was like just an instant thing. And I remember being young. And there's a reason that we sort of have this reaction when women, when we can, like, make fun of certain things and pick out things and articulate things that are ridiculous. We're able to sort of signal to each other when a man or anybody else is engaging in behavior that is antisocial and may signify something else that's going on. When we tell women that they're not allowed to point out something that's absurd, we clip their ability to communicate with each other and to communicate with people around them about stuff that they, you know, we kind of have this immediate gut reaction to. And something that you might not understand, again, because you're a man, right? And you haven't evolved the same way. Women evolve to identify men quickly, and not only identify men, but we are hyper sensitive to male behaviors that are antisocial and potentially dangerous and potentially signify some sort of, deviancy, whether sexual, whatever. So for a very long time, women were told that we absolutely did not have a right to point out the absurd, to laugh about it, that laughing at something that we found absurd was akin to violence. And as that happened, it's like it allowed more and more people, more men to become more and more emboldened to, they were allowed to, now that there is not sort of the social gatekeeping of ridiculing ridiculous behavior, now they're more emboldened to act out more and more intensely in their fetishes. And now with the proliferation of porn, we can only imagine how far these fetishes can go and how deep they can get and how severe that they can become, right? So when we tell women that they're not, that it's like that they're committing some sort of violence by laughing at men who are engaging in honestly threatening behavior, because Isaac, I think that wearing women's clothing is threatening to us. Why is it threatening to us? Because it's typically signifies that a man has some sort of sexual paraphilic disorder, that he has some sort of, that's only the tip of the iceberg, and that we don't know what else is underneath that makes us uneasy. You're intentionally violating. It's not that the reason you want to wear those clothes is because they're women's clothes, because of what they signify, right? And people always try to make the argument that like, but what about women who wear men's clothes? Women typically wear men's clothes for very different reasons. We wanted to wear pants because pants are functional, because you can't exactly go and do physical activity in a long skirt easily. If you trip, it's not practical. High heels are not practical. Men who want to wear high heels, again, are not doing it because it's the practical, comfortable thing to do. Women who want to wear tennis sneakers that were typically only for men, or work boots, are not doing it because they want to sexualize themselves. Typically, they want to desexualize themselves. They want to wear something that's, either more comfortable, or now with the rise of pornography and, this sort of like gender ideology, are we seeing more women who do fetishize gay men and actually are showing signs of autoandrophilia? Yeah, no, I do think so. I think it's almost so minuscule compared to the rate of autogynephilia. I think they said like autogynephilia is between like a 3 to 6%. I think it's like a 6% rate of Western males are afflicted with some degree of autogynephilia. That's more people than who have HIV. I mean, that's an insane rate. And I think it's nowhere near, for women. And regardless, women do not pose the same threat that men do. Stop pretending that it's all equal. Again, we're not liberal feminists, right? They always say, oh, well, you have to be equal. No, actually we don't. Because part of radical feminism, I'm not a radical feminist, but I'm rad fem informed. And part of radical feminism is advocating for women's liberation from men. Liberal feminists, who are the ones who ushered in all of this trans shit and who kept all their like pet trans, and the ones who really helped push this, their principle, their core concept is they want equality of the sexes, equality. So it's not too far off to go from wanting equality to the idea that men and women are literally interchangeable. That's why liberal feminism is so much more suitable and fits in with queer theory and all this stuff, whereas radical feminism has always been about acknowledging the inherent differences between men and women and fighting for women's liberation from men, right? And again, I think it's a little disingenuous to bring up that, like, the boys teased you and stuff when you were young. A lot of that is rooted in homophobia. They're thinking that the reason that you're playing, dressing up in women's clothing is because you're trying to attract a man, right? And they don't want, and even just not, homophobia, and also wanting to exert their own, boundaries. Because again, men are, they sexually pursue. Another thing is too, and I brought this up with, well, here, let's watch a little bit more because I have a few more things that I want to respond.
The poll I had posted, 50% of the women said it was not offensive, 50% said it was, and 20% said it was very offensive. So, yeah, about half of women are offended in some way by feminine men, it seems. There are other posts. Someone else called me an AGP, meaning autogynephile, which is a sexual paraphilia. So then we got this next comment from Kim Bigot Smith. And it says, why the koi bend to the knee? Why the sandals favored by girls? Why the impractical nylons? So the nylons they're practical. And then they said, is this sexual for you? So the nylons do serve a purpose. I don't show my arms or legs when I go out. So I have to wear something. And we'll get into that in a second. Why the sandals favored by girls? They're not sandals. They were ballet shoes.
Okay, so yeah, nylons have a function. I mean, no, not when you have penis and external genitalia, not really. And we know that is, again, Isaac, you have to understand. A nylon fetish is a very specific transvestic fetish that there's a decent, group of men that have that. So when we see that, why would we, again, when you're trying to normalize men engaging in stuff that men with fetishes do, all you're doing is making it difficult for us to readily and quickly identify the men who are dangerous. When you're saying, oh no, there's some men who do this for good reasons. Do you really think that we have time to sit and be like, well, I'm not sure. Maybe he's doing it for the right reason. Maybe I need to just give him a chance. No, with all due respect, and I'm coming as a mother of young children, young girls and young boys, all four of whom would be vulnerable to this. I'm not interested in why you're doing it. I'm just going to have to assume the worst case scenario. And if you honestly were if you want to be a decent guy, and I'm letting you know, that's why we have to immediately see that, recognize that as a visual cue that you have something sexually deviantly very wrong with you. We have, and honestly, and if you are a good mother, and if you have any sense of self-preservation, you're going to go with a worst case scenario assumption and rock with that. Okay, when I'm passing you in the street, when I'll have to be around you somewhere with my kids, I'm not going to sit and take time to talk to you and figure out why it was so important for you to wear nylons and a dress and ballet slippers. No, I'm just going to get away from you. I'm going to get away from you. And I'm going to signal to other women that they should probably do the same. Women who maybe don't have, as good. And it is so dangerous when we sit there and try to train women out of that internal voice. And we train children out of that internal. That's something like Jeffrey Marsh does, Isaac. He talks to little kids and tells them that they're wrong if they feel uncomfortable when they see a grown man with a huge Adam's apple and a bulge wearing nylons. He's telling them there's something wrong with them. He's telling these, dumb women who are they're like, oh no, I've really had to teach myself, I had to unlearn my own bigotry. Sis, that's not bigotry. That's your intuition is trying to protect you. Your right to be gender non-conforming and wear the dress because it makes you feel pretty is not more important than my children's right to be safe. And with all due respect, I'm not more concerned about why you want to wear a dress or why you want to gender non-conform or whatever the fuck. I'm going to protect myself and my kids. Okay, so you want to do that, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of it, the social consequences. And I think demanding that people, change the way they feel about it is wrong. If you can earn people's trust by your actions, then sure. Okay. I'm just going to err on the side of there's something wrong with you. And I'm not. And again, it's like, if you're a decent guy, it's not that serious. It's like we make it as if people being allowed to wear these clothing choices that they want is so important. It's like, bro, stop. I remember my dad. I was real into punk rock when I was in high school. I used to go to a lot of punk shows, and I would, wear these like offensive t-shirts and like studded jackets and stuff in high school. And, I remember I'd gotten in trouble, I think, for like I used to always get dress code in trouble or something. I remember my dad one time said to me, he's like, Britt, he said, knock it off. Knock it. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're dressing like a dickhead. He goes, and he was like, he goes, I wear a suit and tie every day. He's like, you think that I just picked this out because this is my favorite thing to wear? He said, no, it's because it's what's appropriate to wear to work, right? Because, sometimes we have a uniform and a way that we need to dress to get along in society, and he's like, you have so much more about you, your intellect, your personality, that you don't need to make all these like extreme measures to try to like stand out or be special. He goes, use your gifts, your talents, your skills, your intelligence. Stop trying to drawing all this attention because of, your clothes and stuff. He says, sometimes, we have to wear things because, we need to be able to, succeed in that environment and then also be pro-social with the people around us. Yeah, do I want to make it illegal for you to wear those clothes? No, of course not. That's foolish. But I absolutely stand by women's rights to point it out that typically men and the vast majority of men who dress like that are doing that for nefarious reasons and reasons that we should stay away from. You're signaling to everyone around you that there's something sexually wrong with you. And I'm not, and if it's wrong, I don't really care, to be honest. Your feelings are less important than the safety of, and no offense, with all due respect, Isaac, why would you sit there and have this whole argument at a time when women's rights are so under attack? When we've been so force-fed the idea of just be nice, you must be nice, you have to be so nice that you literally, if you leave the dressing room when Leah Thomas walks in and drops trowel, you're a transphobe. You're a bad person. That's how far this toxic just be nice has been. No. Shame has a place in society. And it's to let the whole group know what our values are as a collective, what we'll tolerate and what we won't. And I'm sorry, but if the worst consequence is that you are just sort of like socially excommunicated, that's on you. But no, I'm sorry, but the consequence is far too great for us to continue to pretend that men wearing dresses and wearing this fetish gear in public is just this harmless thing. It's not. It's like normalizing the pedophile, so that we no longer have the knee-jerk reaction of be like, oh my God, he's on Megan's Law. Yeah, get away from me. It's like, oh no, you don't know. He's been non-offending. He's a virtuous pedophile. Give him a chance. Let him babysit your kids. How about no? How about I just assume that there's something wrong and just get out of there? You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool, So I just think that like when you know that women have their rights, you see Redux. You see how many women are being assaulted. Loudoun County, a girl, again, her guard was down because we rammed this gender nonconformity down everyone's throats to the point where normally a woman sees a dude come in with a dress and she's like, whoa. No. We've been had it rammed down our throats for so long that we have to be nice and sit there and be like, yes, girl, you look great. Go, girl. Yeah, I love the dress. I used to do that. I used to like love it. I'm like, well, I don't, because it was like me trying to cope with the fact that I actually felt hella uncomfortable and I really thought you looked like a clown. You know what I mean? And it's like, it was like, it was such a cope. And I hated that I felt that I had to sit there and like overextend myself and over pretend like I was comfortable with all this when really I wasn't. And I had internalized the idea that there was something wrong with me for thinking this is weird. No, it is okay. Is it arbitrary? Maybe, but I don't care. Okay? If clothes are made for women's bodies, like, oh, well, what about when women sexualize ourselves? We don't have penises that we can rape you with and impregnate you with. We don't have penises that we can rape you and impregnate you with and infect you with. Did you know that lesbians have virtually like a zero rate of sexually transmitted diseases? Did you know that? Even if they're doing all the sort of lesbian sex? We're not coming and actually entering your body and infecting you with stuff, right? And it's like, I'm sorry, but I agree with like, men like attacking another man? No, I think as far as it can go is ridicule and shame. Oh, well, and then just saying, I'm going to stay away from this person. Boo hoo. I'm not saying that anyone should attack somebody who's wearing something, but no, we have the right to point it out. There's just something weird and wrong here. And I just feel even like, okay, Kai Decadence, maybe for example, I saw him and he was wearing a dress. I might originally be like, but I think like the second that like I heard him talk and heard his mannerisms, I would just be like, oh, he's just super gay. You know what I mean? And it's like, then that, it's like, earn my trust. It's okay to let people earn your trust. And then I see him interact. I'm like, oh no, he's actually fine. Then I can start to move closer. I can start to be like, no, I think that, his reasons for doing it are more fashion and whatever. And then I can start to move closer, but he doesn't seem like the type of guy to like absolutely demand, you know what I mean? Or get mad. And it's like, and unfortunately, and it's a shame, but it's like we have to, it's this whole idea like prejudice is so bad. No, prejudice is actually something that we all do every day and is a highly important adaptation. You need to be able to visually look at somebody and within a split second, make judgments about whether or not that person is safe or not. And especially if you're a mother or a woman and you're like this vulnerable person, you have to be able to make quick snap decisions. I think that when it becomes actual, like when it's bad is when you don't let new information influence your opinion about that person, right? When you just cling to your immediate assumption. We can have assumptions about anybody for any reason. That's okay. I think what's important is that you allow new information about that person to cause you to adjust your opinion about them, right? But no, we shouldn't be shaming anybody for having a snap judgment. That is a life-saving thing. And in fact, I'm really concerned. I put myself in dangerous situations because I grew up with this idea that I needed to be so tolerant. I need to be the most tolerant person in the world and prove that I'm not scared of anything or anybody. And I'll virtue signal my way to hell. And I put myself in some really dangerous situations. I hung out with some dangerous men who had nefarious interests for being around me. And I sat, and again, it's always like, just give him a chance. Just give the kind of like creepy incel a chance. He's a nice guy that everyone friend zones. Maybe there's a reason that everyone friend zones him. Maybe there's something weird there. It's okay. Like, anyway,
why the coy bend to the knee? Both my knees were bent, to be fair, but I'm not allowed to bend my knees. It's practical. They had my legs once ratioed me quite substantially. So women seem to agree with these comments. So I guess if I wore jeans, everyone would be okay with this.
Okay, so let me also talk about the difference between a man wearing jeans versus a man wearing a dress. Okay, a thin little dress, right? Again, your penis, that's the problem. Okay, when your penis is packed behind layers of jeans, we know that you probably have a pair of boxers on or underwear. Then you have jeans that have like a difficult buckle and then probably a pant buckle. And you can't just quickly whip it out. You'd have to like pull your pants down and do all this weird shit and draw all this attention to you. Oh, but if you got a little dress on and you can just do one of these, like just pull it up real quick, like say this is the dress, and I'm just like, ooh, ooh, you know, it's just knowing that it's there. It's the same thing with like Dylan Mulvaney when he had that whole thing where he's like, oh, I went to the dress today and I had my Barbie wand, you know, packed in my little cute shopping shorts. And everyone was looking at me and I was like, why are they looking at me? And then I go, oh, they're looking at my bulge in my shopping shorts. And I said, Dylan, you have one of three options. You can either go and like, what did he say? He was like, you can either like get it cut off, or you could tuck, which involves, you know, or you could either take your shopping shorts off, or you could tuck, which involves, you know, getting it tucked up or like cut it off or whatever, or you could just do nothing and you could just let your bulge be there and normalize the bulge. We're gonna normalize the bulge, and like try to make it all like cute and funny. And it's like, how about we fucking don't? How about we don't? How about what you're doing is so dangerous because you're sitting there and trying to say, oh, you're putting this cute, friendly, fun face on it. But then the next time, you know, so the next time the kid sees a guy who's when I was in the mall, by the way, one of my earliest memories of being like sexually violated was, I've told this story before, and me and my friend Megan, we were in the mall. We were in a girl's shopping store, a girl's clothing store, and there was a dude in there and he kept bending down to look at like stuff that made no sense that he would be looking at right near us. And I looked over and his balls and dick, his balls were literally like dropping out of his shorts. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Megan, oh my God, check out this guy's balls. She was like, ew, gross. We thought it was like an accident. We're like, all right, let's just get out of here. Later, we went to another girl's clothing store. It was like limited to like for little girls. He was in there again doing the same thing. And that's when I was like, no. This is not an accident. He's trying to expose himself to us. Okay. So it's like you sit there and Dylan, you get all these kids on board and they're we're normalizing the bulge. So now their guard is down. So then the next time there's some creep at the mall who wants to come and expose himself to them, their guard is down. They're like, oh, that's just normal. That's normal. I remember Dylan was saying that some women have penises and this is a woman and I just shouldn't look. And I should still smile and be nice to him. And then we have, you know, Jeffrey Marsh, who's telling children that they should be extra kind to adults who creep them out, basically. So don't listen to that voice because that's your bigotry. You know, just be extra nice. Yeah, limited too. Yeah, exactly.
But because I wore tights, I guess in their mind an autogynephile. Seems. And you know, that was just some of them. There were a lot more. I don't really need to go over them. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of kind of sums up TERFs pretty well. They hate feminine men. They hate men who do anything that would be seen as feminine in society. They view them all as perverts. It doesn't matter your actual intention. It doesn't matter if you like the clothing. It doesn't matter how modest you are. TERFs will they just won't like you. And this is because that most of them are traumatized or in some way mentally ill, like I said at the beginning of the video. And so they're not responding rationally. They're not responding like a reasonable person might to just a guy wearing clothes. It just seems like these TERFs have this idea that like clothing actually has sex attached to it. And so, but only certain clothing. So for instance, the next post I made was a post of me wearing a women.
Yeah. So no, clothing does have sex attached to it when it's literally formatted for the sexed body of a woman. Would you make, and here's another question, Isaac. Would you, okay, recently we saw a video of a trans-identified male who was wearing a baby outfit, a little girl, like a little baby girl outfit, sucking on a bottle and filming himself doing this in the middle of the mall. Would you defend that as, oh, it's just clothing? It doesn't mean anything. It's just clothing. It's just clothing. No big deal. Just clothing, right? He should be, that's not for kids. No, there is sex clothing. It's for the, a bra that is fit for your breasts. That's gendered clothing, right? Same in nylons and stuff. I don't know how comfortable it is to have your, balls squished up in nylons. Let's see if we can see the video of, it's important that I just feel like, I was not sure if I was going to actually respond. It's like my gut reaction was I wanted to respond to it. But then, hold on, let me just duplicate this. But then I was like, no, whatever. But then this whole thing with the Genspect thing, and this keeps coming back up where, men now, once again, are telling women that we have to sit there and be okay with what is obviously fetishistic behavior, right? It's like you men who either like making people feel uncomfortable, like the way, get some sort of, there's some sort of thrill in it. And again, and whether or not it's, there's certain things where it's arbitrary, doesn't matter. Cause you know what, as a culture, women need to be able to have quick visual cues about who's dangerous and who's not. And I'm a mother. Okay. Maybe it's difficult when you don't have children and you're younger and you only have yourself to focus on. Maybe it's hard to really connect the dots then. But no, I don't have time to sit there and virtue signal and be cool with everybody and let everybody know how progressive and open-minded I am. No. I just need to be able to make a quick snap judgment. I care less if I'm wrong about you being bad when maybe you're good than I am worried about being wrong about thinking you're good when actually you're bad. You understand? Let me see if I can find the dude who was hold on. Man, baby, bottle, mall. Let's see if this. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So again, if you're saying, oh, it's all arbitrary, it's just clothes. Clothes doesn't mean anything. Da, 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 da. So then I would you defend this then? Are you saying that this is totally normal behavior? Oh, it's just literal, just clothing. It doesn't make a difference. What about men who wear diapers? Can we say that that's engaging with a fetish or not? What about this guy here? Is this him engaging with a fetish, or would we be bigots to think something like that? This is from Genevieve blog. Not real question though. Is that normal? Is this normal? Would it be fair to say that this guy is engaging in a fetish and he's trying to get other people involved by getting them in the back of the frame when he's recording? No, it's bro, come on. At a certain point, I'm sorry, but men, and this isn't just to Isaac, it's not just to you. And I don't. We can have let's have a conversation about it. Again, I'm not condemning him across the board. I've had my own issues with rad femmes. You guys know that, but no, I just disagree with you on this point, and we can debate it. You know what I mean? Respectfully. But it's what is it unreasonable to say that this dude right here is engaging in his fetish and it would be legit to call it out? It's this whole idea. It's this super postmodernist idea that nothing means anything. Everyone has a personal truth and da-da-da. No, I'm sorry. You know exactly what we mean by wearing women's clothing. And I don't, Katana says, I don't feel anything looking at it. I don't know who you are. And if you're a mother of little children, then there's something that's really missing with you. And I'm concerned about your lack of vigilance over the safety of your kids. If you're that inept and unable to recognize signs of sexual degeneracy, if you're that incapable and inept and unable to recognize signs that a man, it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, in nature, animals do it all the time. They recognize, oh, someone looks sickly, let's stay away. It's kind of like why fish bully other fish. Okay, for example, guppies. I used to have guppies, right? And they always say that if a bunch of your females are bullying a male guppy, usually the reason is that he's like a low quality guppy and they don't want to mate with him, and they're just basically like, get away from us. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay to set standards for yourself. It's okay to gatekeep who comes around you. We're not saying that these people can't exist somewhere, but there's a place for it. And in the public forum, we're telling you, no. Go do it over in your fetish club or your whatever it is, your bar that you do that kind of stuff. Get together with a group of your other like AGP friends, do it there. Go to a swingers club, do whatever. But no, we're allowed to gatekeep like, sort of like civil society. Let's stop being such degenerates. Let's raise the bar a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, enough is enough. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's like, you could tell that we have so little going on when you think your biggest battle is being allowed to wear the clothes you really want to wear. No, but you know what? If you actually care, if you were a decent person, you'd realize that all of our actions impact other people. It's the same thing like with women, for example, women who are basically going out dressing like, they're about to go perform, at a strip club. That's inappropriate. You're around, where there's other children are, knock it off. Your need for sexual attention from men is not more important than other people, like being comfortable. You know what I mean? No, it's not just clothes. If it was just clothes, then why is it such a big deal for you? If it's just clothes, why do you have to engage in these obviously antisocial behaviors that are making other people uncomfortable, especially at a time when women's rights are so deeply under attack? Women are actually getting hurt. You guys always talk about like the sort of like violence of women making fun of you, when we're actually getting hurt over this. Babies are being born because of these idiotic policies. Women are getting hurt, getting raped. Well, we just talked the woman, the angry survivor who I had, the domestic abuse advocate woman, was talking about how when she had to leave her ex, who's an actual murderer, who actually killed somebody, and he was abusing her, and she had to escape with her children to a women and children's shelter. It was like this big gymnasium thing. It had a bunch of cots. She was placed next to a trans-identified male who started masturbating in the bed next to her and her children. She said she started flipping out. She started screaming and making a big scene. Guess who got thrown out? Guess who got thrown out? That's how fucking twisted we are. Guess who got thrown out? Just Be Nice allows perverts into rape crisis shelters with women. I'm sorry, but I'm done with Just Be Nice. I want to protect a society where we don't have to sit there and be on edge, where we're putting people's fashion choices over women's rights to be able to quickly visually identify who might be a threat and who might not be. Fashion, bro, who fucking cares? That's how petty and like nonsensical we've become. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how, like when men are so concerned about which clothes they get to put on their body. And it's like, bro, who cares, yo? Build some more parts of your personality. For real, for real. Build some other parts of your personality. If it's that. Let's just see. And then, I don't know. Oops.
It's still female clothing, you could say. It's made for women. But no one got upset at this one. Why? Because TERFs are effectively just trying to reinforce stereotypes, it seems. There are stereotypes based around femininity in Western culture. Women wear dresses. Women wear makeup. Men don't do those things. If they do those things, they're mentally ill perverts.
Yeah. Yeah, typically that's been the case, and you've acknowledged that that's the case, you know. But again, you're taking on a very true trans person, you know, vibe here. It's okay when I do it, but I can dunk on the other people who do it. I wouldn't care if a man is wearing makeup. That makes no difference to me. His penis is not behind some thin little sheet near me and my children, right? Yeah, he's saying that because it was technically like a female t-shirt, but like, come on, it's just playing like you don't understand. Let's see.
That is the take of these women, these TERFs. And it's unfortunate that they're so close-minded and simple. But especially these more vocal accounts. This person, I checked that TERF Jester's comments. That person must have like 30,000 comments or something. Literally just going around to gender non-conforming people or trans people and calling them perverts all day long. All day long. I'm not kidding. Thousands of comments just like the one I showed. And I'm just gonna be real, like I try to raise awareness on the dangers of transitioning. I try to get people not to, you know, hurt themselves and such. I try to, you know, help people realize what they're dealing with. Going around calling people, you know, troon, degenerate, perverts, panty sniffing, bicycle seat lickers, and stuff like this. That doesn't actually help anyone. It's just it's just like sort of a funny, edgy thing to do. This woman's like 40. This woman's like 40 years old. And then she spends her whole day doing this. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, so, and that was one thing I wanted to respond to, because I feel like a lot of people maybe on the outside, like, yeah, you know, he's right. Isaac, so my response to that is, once again, we've been told over and over again that we are not allowed to say anything when these men violate us by indulging and engaging in their fetish right next to us. When a woman was in a cot in a rape shelter and there's a man next to her in bed masturbating, jerking off, she's not allowed to say anything because it just be nice. Women who like Rex Landy, what that does, women like Rex who are unapologetic in confronting every single last one, AGP or man who is, you know, proudly and boldly showcasing his fetish, is it gives permission to other women to actually speak up and assert a boundary. So you saying that, like, you know, her going around and calling out autogynephiles who are indulging in a fetish is just, you know, her trying to be edgy, and it's just like a loser thing to do. Respectfully, I disagree. I think that women like Rex give other women who typically have not been socialized or given permission throughout their life to assert a boundary, the permission to do so, and saying, point and laugh. Rather than sit there and pretend like this is all good, it is okay. And it signals to other women that, hey, there's something off with this guy. We're signaling to each other. It gives women permission to actually vocalize and verbalize what they're feeling inside without shame, without feeling like, oh, I'm shameful, I'm a bigot for thinking this way. No. And anyone, woman listening, if a man makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't need to talk yourself out of that ever. Ever. His feelings and you being, you know, open-minded. It is not, there's no badge of honor about how accepting can I be of the most degenerate behavior. Let's see who can be the most totally cool with the most degenerate. This is why so many people are emboldened to literally go out in public during Pride and do some of the most degenerative stuff I've ever seen. That's why people are emboldened to plaster themselves all over TikTok. And I'm sorry, this is all by design. This is about destroying us as a culture, making it more taboo to speak up and say, no, that's disgusting and weird. That's the taboo now. The taboo is to say, this is fucking disgusting. What are you doing? I don't feel comfortable. but it's not taboo for some 65-year-old man to be wearing some pink, pretty Polly dress up dress and sucking on a bottle in the middle of a mall while he's filming other people who don't know that they're being filmed. Yeah. And Kai, I don't know, and it's like, sometimes it's even hard for me to fully articulate, but it's like, I feel like you get so, that's why, I don't know, it's like, you just know the difference. Even if I think women can't fully articulate what's weird about one man wearing, a dress or feminine clothing versus another man wearing it. It's like, we just can feel it, And it's like, I have so much pride. That's why I would just so love to talk to you on my channel and you pick your brain a little bit. Because Kai says the majority are not saying that he can't wear what he wants to wear. Just be mindful that there will be people out there who won't agree with it. Right. And he's acknowledging, a lot of these women are traumatized. Right. Okay. You know what? That's what comes with it. And why is that? And so you're more sympathetic towards, the age, how about the fact that women, again, are going through what we're going through right now? So of course the women are going to be triggered when they see men participating in the exact behavior that the men who are destroying our rights and who have us under attack right now are doing. But you're more offended that people are making fun of your dress. How about be offended that there's a baby right now in foster care who will never get to hold her mother again because her father was an AGP who gamed the system and was placed in a women's prison in New Jersey and raped her mother. That baby will never get to hold her mother, look in her mother's eyes, hear her mother's voice again. You know how heartbreaking that is? That should be what sickens and upsets you. Or that there was a little girl in Loudoun County who was sodomized in the bathroom of her school where she's there to learn from a boy who kept getting away with it because Loudoun County would just be like, let's just be super tolerant. He keeps assaulting girls. Well, it's not his fault. He's been dealing with twanphobia. No, empower girls to put... Bro, I'm just so, again, and you know what happened? I was 19 years old, and I'm somebody, I seem like I'm strong, I can stand up for myself. When I was 19 years old, there was a trans-identified male I went to Carnegie Mellon, which is in Pittsburgh, and I used to always go to the gym with a group of my girlfriends, and one day we were getting changed in the gym, in the locker room, and this trans-identified male is 6'4", skinny, comes in, he goes, hello, ladies, starts getting unchanged, and we were like, and I was so when I immediately felt that sick feeling and that disgust, I was so ashamed of it. I overcorrected by being like, yeah, girl. Hey, great to see you. Oh, love having you here. And I was so afraid. And I just sat there and I basically allowed myself to be violated by this man who had no right to be in that space. And I kept getting undressed, and I hate that I felt like I had to do that. I was so socialized. It's the same reason where, again, it's the whole rejection violence. It's when we tell women that they're more wrong for rejecting a man or shaming a man, that's why we have men who are killing women who say no to them. It happens all the time. If you don't believe me, I'll do a video on it. It'll probably be a 2-hour video of little clips showing how much women who are murdered, attacked on the street because they said no to a man who was trying to pursue them. It happens all the time. So when we tell men, we keep sending the message that no, your feelings are more important than a woman's right to, set a boundary around herself, which includes making fun of you because she's scared of you, because she sees that there's something wrong with you. That's when, again, men attack women, and then women sit there and they're overly permissive. And then we wonder, why? Well, why did she allow it to happen? Well, why was she putting herself in that position? Women are scared to say no. It's you can't say no. You got to go along with it. But then if you say yes too much, you're leading him on. And then you're at fault if you get raped because you didn't say no soon enough. You say no too early. All these bitches, they sit there. They go after the wrong guys. This guy's just a nice guy. He just wants to say hi. He's just being a nice guy. This is why all you whores can't, you get, with the wrong guys who treat you like crap. This guy's just trying to be a nice guy. What's wrong with you? Take the compliment. Say thank you. Bro, how about you all just get the fuck away from us? Why don't we just do that? It's a reason why women who have been assaulted will sit there and they'll blow up to be 300 pounds so that no man will ever look at them again. It's like you start hurting yourself. There's a reason why women are cutting their breasts off so that men won't look at them anymore. We'll just leave them alone so they can walk through life, not have to fucking sit there and go through this whole dance of how do I tell him no? Do I just be nice? Should I let him talk? Should I do this? Should I run away? Then I'm being mean. Then I'm leading him on. And then, bro, how about you just stay the fuck away from me, period? How about the second that I feel uncomfortable? You know what I mean? No, let's allow women again. And for how long were we never allowed to make fun? We would all get deplatformed for making fun of these guys. We're finally allowed to do it, Isaac. We used to get deplatformed. Now that Elon Musk took over, we can finally speak out about how this makes us feel. I'm sorry that it makes that, again, you don't get the privilege of no longer hearing, of not having to hear how it makes us feel. You want to wear that? Of course you have the right, but we have the right to let you know it makes us uncomfortable because it is the same behavior that the men who have us under attack engage in every single day. That's the problem. That's the problem. If you want to debate it, let's debate it. Rex Landy is giving women permission to point and laugh and point out what makes them feel so uncomfortable. Genspect, and this isn't all about, and Isaac, I'm sorry. You just gave me such an opening to this conversation. It's not just you. Genspect, I'm sorry. What are you guys doing? Anybody who trusts this organization, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. All Genspect is, they're a PR front to protect transgenderism and to protect their investments and stuff, and sit there and pretend to be gender critical. It's the same thing with true trans. There is no middle ground, you guys. Don't you understand? Just find a middle ground. You have to be willing to compromise. No. You don't get to stretch so far out into the most radical depths and then demand that we come out and meet you halfway. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Okay? There is no compromise. There is no trans. There's no anybody who's actively participating in the delusion of trans cannot be gender critical, period. Anybody who's wafting back and forth, they're so happy to throw some of the most mentally ill ones under the bus so that they get the free pass. And then all the gender criticals can sit there and be like, see, I don't hate trans people. I can get the pat on the head now. I'm just saying that I just don't like the childhood transition. No, bro, no. I'm a mother. I'm a mother first. I'm a mother first and last. I'm a mother first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, fucking to a million. First, last, middle, all of it. All of it. And I'm going to be the voice that I didn't have for myself when I was young. I got to go. I love you guys. Isaac, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Fuck Genspect. I'm sorry, but fuck Genspect. Anybody who's still riding on Genspect's dick, bro, get off of it now. I got to go. I love you guys. I'll see you later. 200 people in the views. That's what's up. I'll see you guys later. Yeah. See you later. Fuck Genspect. See ya. But hold on, you want to say hi? No. Just wait till I got